Right, we're late. We're late for a very important date, I guess. Hello everyone, welcome to Tactica, Imperialis and to today's video. Today is going to be another of our live streams. This is Sunday the 9th of August and we're going to be continuing on today with our Altar of Khaine conversion project. We're going to be doing a bit more of the painting and we're also going to be having a bit of a chat, I think, about some of the extra bits that I want to put on there because as we have learned today, we are getting Morgwaith's Blood Coven very, very soon, so we can start talking about how they're going to fit into the project, because I've talked about wanting to put them on before, but we can actually discuss that in full now that we know that they are nearly out. So we've got plenty to get on with. I appreciate that we're starting very, very late, because this was supposed to start at 7 PM UK. It's now 7:32. The reason for that is because of a fire alarm that we had on site, and that caused a evacuation. Thankfully it was a false alarm, so no worries there, but because the fire brigade had to come and confirm that it was indeed a false alarm, and then deactivate it, let everyone back on the site, that took a lot of time. Then I had to eat dinner because I was about to put dinner in the oven when the fire alarm went off, so the stream got bumped back by half an hour to let me eat dinner. So I've had that now. We're going to go for a few hours tonight, continuing on with the Altar of Khaine. We've got a few people here in chat, which is great to see. We've got one of our mods, Ben, is here as well. We've got 15 people who are here. I appreciate that probably some of those people are people who were supposed to be here half an hour ago and have just checked back in later. But we are live, we are here, we are good to go. Got people from all over the world. Got people from Australia, people from the UK, people from Europe. We've got a nice mix of people here, which is great. So we've got a lot to do, and yeah, I've also cracked into my reserve of alcohol-free cider. It's one of those nights. Here we go. So, what I want to do tonight primarily revolves around the... I've got two options really. I've got the altar to this stage. I'll show you now on screen. So this is where we got the altar to last stream. This is where we left off. So we've done the Ulgu style stone, which was done with Mechanica Sander Grey, the Fang, and then Druchii Violet as the wash. It's very purple, grey, sort of colours of the Realm of Shadow. And we also made a start on the Hessian style stone, which is going to be the white elven style stone that is base coated and ready to be washed from there. We've also got a bunch of details to do on the altar itself, so all the detailing of the stone on the ground. We've also got the fires to do, so we've got plenty on, as well as the avatar. I've built an avatar of Khaine, a spare one, so we can paint that as well. So I'm kind of open to where people would like to start, really. So we've got two main sort of options. We can work on, if I just put this up to the camera, we can work on this sort of detailing that we've got on the Ulgu style stone, or we can carry on with the Hessian style stone, which I'm planning to shade with Drakenhof Nightshade. Very, very lightly and very, very carefully, I'm going to shade it with Drakenhof Nightshade, because if I use purples and greys for Ulgu, and then I use whites and blues for Hish, that creates that mix for Ulgish, which is sort of what I'm going for with this. So we've got two main options. Alternately, we could do the avatar, we could do the, well, I'm not going to do the fire effects yet, but we've got the avatar, the detailing on the dark stone, or we can finish off the white stone. We've got a couple of options there, depending on what people are in the mood for. And we can also have a chat about what's going on in the hobby at the moment. Say maybe the pre-orders, because I know obviously that is something we're going to talk about later with the arrival of Morgwaith's Blade Coven. So we've got plenty to work on. Okay, we've got one vote for the avatar. Got one vote for the avatar from chat. If people are interested as well, hopefully there can be a link put together to join the channel's Discord server. I know a lot of people, I recognise a lot of names now from chat, so I know a lot of people are in the server, but you're welcome to join if we can get a link in the chat, which would be great. And I'm actually in Discord at the moment in the voice call. So if people want to be having a conversation in my ear, you can't be heard by main chat, but I can hear you, and you can offer your advice that way if you'd prefer. So we've got plenty of options there if you are interested in that. Okay, that's 3 votes for the avatar. Blimey, okay, people are in the mood for the avatar of Khaine. 1 vote for the Hish stone, so the lighter coloured stone, okay. So we've got a couple more ideas there. Got a nice mix. I recognise a lot of names, but not everyone, which is always good to see. I realise it is a Sunday, so for the Brits it's Sunday evening. It's sort of the last thing you do before you go to bed. Americans, it's probably lunchtime to mid-afternoon, depending on where you are. Maybe it's late morning for some areas. Australia's just waking up for the week, if they're actually, fussed to come and sit here at 7:30 in the morning. I suppose it's something to do over breakfast, I guess. So we've got a nice, a good time, and I like this sort of late UK evening slot because it sort of caters to as many people as possible, and it also suits my timetable as well. Okay. 2:37 a.m. Oh, right. So that's... What's that? 6 hours ahead? Okay. 6 hours ahead. Yeah, you're probably... or 15 hours behind, I suppose. Almost into the American West. 1:30 in the afternoon. Yeah, I thought it would be about mid-afternoon to lunchtime for the Americans. So it's a nice mix. Okay, so I'm going to go and do the avatar then. I wasn't expecting to do that, but we will do the avatar of Khaine first. I don't know if I'll finish this avatar tonight. If I do, then that's great, and we'll go on to the Hishian stone next. But otherwise, we'll do the avatar to completion. That we can make an objective for tonight. So I'm just going to take all the blue tack off. I've got to be honest, this has been sat on my desk ever since I started the project, which was on Wednesday when we actually built this thing. It's been sat on my desk, and especially since I built my desk, it's been sat there and it's just been taunting me like, Tactica, paint me, paint me, paint me, paint me. And I can't paint it because I've been wanting to do it exclusively as a stream project. I've had to wait for streaming, so that's kind of part of the reason why I was so desperate to get another stream going. Hi Kaz. Yes, so shout out to Kaz. Kaz is the architect of inspiration for this. It was their design, which I can also show you here. So this is sort of what we're going to end up with if I just hide this image. That's the wrong image. So that was Kaz's original Photoshop of what we're going for. I've built it, as I say, in a slightly different style. It's a little bit more like an altar than a dais, but well, that's what we've got. So yeah, big shout out to Kaz for this, because I think that is part of why this has happened. So now that we know, if I need custom bits, I will ask, but at the moment I'm feeling pretty good, because I think I've got about the right amount of bits here, because I don't want to go over the top. Once I add in Morgwaith's Blood Coven as my acolyte and my priest, I think I'm going to be good, but thank you for the offer, and if I think of anything, I'll let you know. So, Avatar of Khaine. Now, my original avatar, as I showed you a second ago, is actually red. So I did it as sort of a blood golem type thing. Okay, so the rooms are locked in the Discord. If you just knew, that's because one of the mods hasn't let you in yet. There are certain rules that we have on the server. So if you just read the rules for the server, and then one of the mods will let you in, that would be much appreciated. It's just one of the rules that we have when we opened up the server. So no big deal. So yeah, the first avatar I did was red with black armor, but I'm feeling like I want to do something slightly different for this one. So I'm thinking I want to go for a greenish marble for the sort of flesh colours. So these sorts of bits like the stomach, the arms, I want to do in like a green marble-like colour, because that will really allow the red of the heart to stand out. And the armour, I think I would like to do in red. Possibly red because that's what my daughter's armour actually is, and it's what my Dark Elves armour is. The other option would be something like purple, because again that's a spot colour for them. I could go black again, but I'm not sure. So I'm open to suggestions from chat on that for what colour I should do the armour on my avatar. Which... I know what it is, but... I know what it is, but like, it's the colour scheme I'm more interested in. Purple and green sort of sit together a bit too closely. Yeah, that's fair. Green and red do contrast really well. My Evil Sun's Orcs are proof of that. So yeah, okay. Red sort of was my first option. Black skin, red armor. Oh, invert my original avatar. That's an option. But I want it to kind of look like a chiseled, like animated golem type thing. So that will be what I do. I haven't got contrast paint for the record. I don't use contrast, not for any particular reason. I just don't use contrast because I've never got into it. So it's not something I know particularly well. And I've got a plan for doing red coloured things on the altar later. Sorry, I was reading a question from chat. Which Loyalist and Traitor Primarchs do you think are going to come back in 9th and future editions? I don't think we're going to get any in 9th. I could be wrong, but I don't think we're going to get any in 9th. I think we will see the Lion. I think we'll see Fulgrim and Angron come back. Beyond that, I think that's enough. I don't want to like have them all because that would just oversaturate, I think. Black, white combined with almost any colour combination, so you can use silver for added detail. Yeah, that's true. So if I get my original avatar out, because I put it away since I took it off the altar. So my original avatar is something like this. So my original avatar is red skin with black armor and gold trim. So that's how I did my original avatar, and I'm still really proud of it. But since that one's sitting on top of my cauldron of blood, I'm thinking I want to do something different for this one on the altar. Hence the want for something green for the stone skin type thing. So that was the original. Russ. I know about Russ. Honestly, I think Russ returning in the prophecy, Russ returns for the end of all things. So unless you're going to do an end time scenario, I'm not sure. A jade effect. Yeah, sort of like a jade marble type thing for the skin, air quote. It's just the armor that I'm not sure about. Part of me thinks red, because I know how well that works with my orcs. I haven't seen that of Russ being back. I don't remember that. I know he's alive, but there's a difference about from back. Okay, so make it look green but still stone. Make the darker parts really dark, was purplish black, and then raise the green as you add lights. And then pure highlights in yellow. So sort of like a purplish black undercoat with green highlights and yellow edge highlights? Am I reading that right? Sorry, I don't speak painter very well. Right, okay. I'm not... And use diluted yellow for the veins of the mark. Okay, so, looking at the paints I have to hand, I have got... I have Caliban Green, which I need to go in my drawers and dig out the rest of my greens. So I've got Caliban Green, I've got Elysian Green, I've got Ogre Camo, I've got a very rubbish Avalanche Sunset and Yerio Yellow. Avalanche Sunset, sorry, and Yerio Yellow. They're a bit rubbish, but I could probably just about make them work. For purple, I've got a Nagaroth Knight, and I have, that's blue, and I have a Zerus purple. You see, some Mephisto, so like a red gold, like bronzed effect. Ooh, like a red tinted for bronze. That could be interesting. Speaking science, Marvel's a bit of a subsurface scattering, so it's more colour raised than normal stones. It's like half the translucency of flesh. I see. No, Ben, I'm not painting it Iron Warriors. Buzz off. Wrong universe. Nope. I nearly drank my paint water. Nope. Nearly did it. The thing with the avatar is, well, there's two things. I want it to stand out against the Hessian stone, so I need it to stand out against white for a start. And the other thing is, it needs to be the avatar comes to life. The idea in the Daughters of Khaine is with a prayer, an avatar comes to life. So something like it's collecting dust or collecting rust won't work. Yeah, that's what someone said from chat, was sort of a red tinted gold. Well, my usual, well, typically my gold, the way I do my gold is Retribute armor with Caribou Crimson Wash already. So I usually do red washed gold, and that's my standard de facto gold. Yeah, I haven't got bronze paints, unfortunately, so like that's the only gold I've got. Brass, but make the brass slightly corroded. Again, because it's supposed to be like an avatar that comes to life. I want it to try and still look. It's just, again, because it wants it to come to life. I think it shouldn't look corroded because it's animated by blood magic. It's sort of the way it works. The avatar in AOS, when activated, because you have to activate it before turn 3, has got a 6 attack, 3s shooting attack, as well as it being a flat damage 3 in melee. So it's really good on top of the Cauldron of Blood when you activate it, but it's a bit of a point sink on its own because you have to turn it on. I'm not intending to buy 1 or 2 paints just to do this one model. I've got my gold scheme has been set across 5 different armies, and I'm not changing it now. Okay, so if I start out, so if I go back to Kaz's idea, which would be, start with okay, if Kaz is right, I want a Nagaroth Knight undercoat, and then I want to dry brush up repeatedly with Caliban, Elysian, and maybe Ogrin as edge highlights, and then possibly a further edge highlight with some yellow lines. That was Kaz's marbly suggestion. No. I've got Nagaroth and Zaruth. That's the only purple I've got. Caliban, Ogrin, Elysian. Because that's what I did for my Orc Flesh and my Grot Flesh, so I've never did any more than that. Okay, so Caliban undercoat, Druchii Violet wash. Like that, the image Kaz has just given me in Discord is really cool, and I hope I can replicate it. It's working out the base of where I start, because once I get going, I'll work it around my existing paints and make it stick. It's just getting like if you like, step one. Okay, I'm going to go with a Caliban green undercoat, base coat, and then from there, I'll give it a full wash of Druchii Violet, and if I need to go darker, I'll wash it again with Nuln Oil, because I don't like mixing washes, because I don't have a palette. Yes, I know, heresy, I don't have a palette for mixing paints. Caliban undercoat, Druchii wash, Caliban on top, leaving the shadows in violet, and then add lighter green. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, we'll go with that, and then we'll see how high we need to build it up. Okay, so which bits do I need to do? The entire legs are armored. Silver. Yeah, so it's like silver as the trim for the armor. Yeah, I would see that's just what colour do we make the actual armor at that point. I think. Yeah, GW's standard design does just keep it as the same colour as the underlying stone, but I don't know. I feel like it looks like a suit of armour, so it should be treated as such. I mean, it's both. It's a statue and an animated warrior all in one. That's the Avatar's thing. So you can kind of take it either way, which is the... Actually, speaking of avatars and gaming and things being dead, I saw a few tournament results this week. Sorry, I'm just going to be musing a bit while I do this because I'm like that. So there's been a few tournaments held, I think particularly in Australasia and New Zealand, because you know New Zealand's done a fantastic job with coronavirus. But I'm mainly talking about AOS for the ones I saw because AOS short shared them. And interestingly, the I saw Barak Ziflin come P1 in a tournament and P2 in another. And I saw Staliarch Lords I think came P2 in a tournament. So it does seem like the AOS meta has shaken up a bit with the handbook, which is good to see. Right. Faceplate. Well, the Petrifex had their +1 save removed to Mystic Shield in melee. That's what they did to Petrifex. Uh, Yeah, it's just, the only reason I brought up these tournament results was just because, oh, everyone spent an edition and a half going lol Caradron. And suddenly, oh, Barak Ziflin has come top two in two separate tournaments. Okay, what the? That's really the reason I brought it up. Okay, this sort of green colour's come. Admittedly, I feel like I'm painting the green goblin at the moment, but do do do. Do 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 do. Okay, is that all of it? There's actually less stone on this than I actually thought. There's a lot of armor. So that's where we are. So that's the bits that are going to go green or have gone green, and we'll wash them up later. The main thing now that we have a baseline is working out what color we want the actual main armor to be. So we've had a few suggestions, and I like a lot of them. Things like reds, gold / mixed up for bronze. Granted, I haven't got really the mixing skill to make a proper bronze, and I don't own the paint. Silvers is a good safe bet. Just tossing it up really. Oh, hang on, did I miss the bit behind the knees? Yeah. I do that a lot. I just miss bits. Right, so I'm just going to tidy that up now. Right. Oh, we've got 22 people here. That's pretty good. It's a Sunday, so no one's doing much most of the time. But it's good to see people are here. If people want to get involved in things, then you're more than welcome to do so. Got that? Yeah. Got. Okay. Okay, I think that's the detail. Yep, okay, got all the bits now. Right. So let's crash this out then, chat. What are we doing with this armor? Let's crash this one out. So I've got a dark green stone for the under skin, if you like. It's going to be sat on top of a white plinth on top of a purpley grey altar. So I don't think I quite have the paints that you're suggesting for that. But one of the things that I could do if we would start with silver is I've never tried washing silver with Carroburg Crimson, and I've also seen the effect, because I got some for the altar, of Blood for the Blood God on Lead Belcher, and I've seen the results of that, and that's really impressive. Oh, that red does look nice. I have to say, that red does look nice. Purple, oh, that's too much. The bronze, the word bearer type bronze looks absolutely gorgeous, but I haven't got the paints to pull it off, sadly. Gold with Reichland, again, I've done gold with Reichland. Sorry, I've got people in Discord giving me ideas. Gold with Reichland Flesher. That's how I used to do my gold, but I changed it to Caribou Crimson because I left my Reichland Flesh Shade in England when I went to France. Mm-hmm. Okay, so sort of put some on the brush, dip it in the water, and then it just sort of turns into a shade all of its own will. So in terms of browns, I've got Doomball Brown, Steel Legion Drab, and for flesh, I've got Pallid Witch Flesh, and I think I have some human flesh paint. No, I don't. I've never painted humans. So no, I've only got Pallid Witch Flesh for skin paints, unfortunately. So yeah, Doomball Brown, Steel Legion Drab, and Pallid Witch Flesh. But I do like this idea of silver washed down with either Caribou Crimson. Actually, have I got a spare piece of... Yes, I do. I've got a bunch of spare Shattered Dominion bases lying around. So, actually, hang on. I've got a spare bunch of Lumineth shields lying around. What am I doing? I've got like 20 Lumineth shields. I've just got these. I'm going to just get a shield and we're going to try a few different things on these shield fields just to see what they look like. And then we can have a bit of democracy on the matter. Right. So if I get my lead belcher, because I love this like bronzed colour, but I'm just conscious that it looks very similar to my gold because it's going to start from the same gold base. Where is my lead belcher? Ah, it's there. Doomball Brown, Null Oil, dry brush of lead belcher, and then a wash of Agrax. That's interesting. That's interesting. Right, so lead belcher. So I'm just going to pop this on a shield, and then I'm going to get my Caribou Crimson out, and we're going to try something. So I'm going to put this on two separate shields, and we're going to do one with Blood for the Blood God, and one with Caribou Crimson, just to see what effect we get from doing so. So, hang on, why am I painting around the elven symbol? Just paint over it. You big spoon. I'm just going to tidy that up now. Okay, and do the same on another shield. Okay. Okay, I'm going to leave this to dry for a second, and I'm going to try Kaz's plan that she's just suggested, which is Doomball Brown. So that's how I do my leather, like my strappings quite a lot, is Doomball Brown with Null Oil. But I've never then tried dry brushing over it with lead belcher. I don't know what colour that's going to give me, but not sure if I want a rust effect, sort of oxidized, an iron oxide effect. But, I mean, actually, the Iron Heart of Khaine, so I suppose the daughters would use iron. Okay. Yeah, because Doomball Brown is quite reddish in and of itself. It's quite a reddish brown. Okay, so I've got those shields base coats. I'm just going to leave them to dry. Was there any other particular suggestion? I'm going to do one with Retributor armor, though. How we wash it, I think, is going to be very interesting because my normal, as I say, my normal wash for my gold is actually Caribou Crimson, so we've already done that for my gold. So if we're trying to create a bronzed effect, we're going to have to do something different. Retributor, Blood for the Blood God, Liberator Gold. I've got Liberator Gold actually. So for highlights, I could do Liberator. I'm just going to be careful that it doesn't look too much like my classic Elven Gold, which is exactly that. Colour theory. Bronze is not a shiny metal even when polished. The darker parts tend to not reflect it, so it doesn't look so metallic. You can emulate that effect by using metallics on the raised edges. Yeah, that's true, which would also explain we might get that sort of rusted iron / bronzed effect if we do it with this brown. Okay, so I've got 4 shields. I've base coated 2 of them with lead belcher, 1 with Doomball Brown and 1 with Retributor armor. I'm just going to leave those to dry for the next 30 seconds. And then we're going to do Caribou Crimson over 1 lead belcher. We're going to try slightly watered down Blood for the Blood God over the other lead belcher and over the Retributor armor. And then we're going to try Kaz's technique of Null Oil, lead belcher, and Agrax. Where's my Agrax? I have got an Agrax. Where is it? That's my spare Null Oil. You never have too much Null Oil. There's my Agrax. So. Excuse me. Right. Well, half an hour in, I'd say we're making some good progress here. It's just doing a bit of on-the-air live colour practice, which is normally something I do off the air, but, you know, I suck at painting, so this is where half the fun lies. Okay. Are these dry? That's dry. That's dry. That's dry. That's not dry. Okay, that's fine. So, Caribou Crimson. Wrong one. Caribou Crimson, come out to play. Yeah, again, with the lack of a palette and just my general lack of paint mixing abilities, like, you'd have to pretty much coach me through it. Step by step by step, or we'd be here all week trying to get a good non-metallic bronze effect. Be a right pain for me to do. But, hey, here we are. So, Caribou Crimson over Lead Belcher. Let's see what this looks like. I don't have any contrast paints. Okay, so we've done that. So that underneath, so this one here is base lead belcher. And the one above it is the one, oh sorry, the one just to its, just above it is the one I just washed with Caribou Crimson. Just so hopefully you can see the details. I'm going to also turn my lamp on, see if that can give you a better view. A bit of light will definitely help with proceedings. So hopefully, so like I said, this one at the bottom here is Lead Belcher, straight up, and that one there is the Caribou Crimson one. So I'm just going to duck and hold them forward, and hopefully you'll be able to see the difference. Because I haven't washed it yet. So that's with the Caribou. I've just put the Caribou Crimson on the first one. I haven't actually done the Blood for the Blood God yet, but the contrast Guilliman Flesh on top of Retributor. Yeah, again, I used to use Reichland Flesh Shade. I did, but just because I left it in France. Sorry, I left it in England when I went to France. I just had to improvise rather than buy a new pot. So I bought Caribou Crimson because I was doing this like red texture for my Stormcast bases. Right, okay. Blood for the Blood God. This will also give me a good try in practicing Blood for the Blood God because I've never used it before, and I'm going to be creating a pool of blood for the altar when we get there. By the way, can I just say, all of these streams have been getting demonetized. Well, sorry, they've been restricted and advertised, and I had to request a review on all of them. I don't know why. We're talking so much about altars of blood and things like that, I suspect. Right, so some blood for the blood god on the... It's only my streams getting demonetized, so trust me. So if I've got this right, I just need... So I've got some blood for the blood god on the brush, so if I just dip that in some water, that should create the effect we're going for. So just light dip in some water. Washes always take a bit of time to dry. Yeah, genuinely, when you shake up and open the pot, then geez, it looks actually like blood. It's really good. Right, okay, so that's done. So that's what that's done. Okay, so I'm now going to put the two up again. So at the top, light, camera, can I have? So the top one is the one with the Caribberg Crimson, and the bottom one is the one with blood for the blood god. I appreciate that you're not going to get the best look at it because I'm holding it up to camera and the lighting's a bit cack, but those are the two. Caribberg Crimson at the top, blood for the blood god at the bottom. It's a lot redder than the Caribberg Crimson one. I can tell that just myself looking at it. It's hard to show you on camera. It could easily just be a camera thing. Those were both over Leadbelcher. Okay, so I'm gonna get blood for the blood god again, and I'm gonna put that now over Retributor armor, and we're gonna try that as a last look. So we're gonna have a look at that one now. I have no problem with painting Thousand Suns armor scheme. You do know I'm a Thousand Suns player, right? Kick him. Okay. Yeah, I'm having a look at this Blood for Blood God on Retributor, and maybe just because I did a bad coat of Retributor. But looking at it, so I'm looking at the three now side by side. The Caribberg Crimson has gone right into the recesses, so it looks like it's almost like the edges are very red tinted, but the rest of it is sort of a dull silver. The Blood for the Blood God over the... Can you stop that, please? The Blood for the Blood God is a lot more reddish. I could easily put another coat on it, but it's a lot redder than Caribberg Crimson already. The one over the Retributor armor doesn't work for me personally. So I'm going to try a second... I'm going to put a second coat of Blood for the Blood God over this shield, and we're going to have a look at that, and then I think that's what we're going to go with, because it feels sort of like it has got that, it's that shiny red, but it's still, but not shiny like gloss red. It's just, I quite like what we've got at the moment, so I'm just gonna Okay, so I can put some Blood for the Blood God over top of this Caribou Crimson. We'll see what that looks like. Well, I've just done it. Okay, so I think I'm gonna settle for this Blood for the Blood God over Lead Belcher. I think I'm gonna settle on that. And I think I will then edge highlight, so all the armor trim. So that'll be what the main armor color is. So that all this plating and things like this. But all the trim, I think for contrast, I know how well red and gold and green and gold go together. So I will do the trim in gold, kind of like GW do, and like I did on my original avatar. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to do Lead Belcher and 2 washes of Blood for the Blood God, and then edge trim will be in gold. That's what we're going to do. And then hopefully you're going to look at this, and I'll pop a picture of it up on Twitter later if I remember, which I should. I'm getting better at remembering to put things on Twitter. So, altar out the way. Let's crack on with the Lead Belcher. And also get that brush out there, because that brush doesn't need to sit there anymore. Okay, trivia question for the chat. Some people seem to quite enjoy doing trivia questions on the last stream. So let's do another trivia question. Since we've been messing around with technicals, ooh, I'm not sure. Actually, no, we'll forget technicals. We'll think about shades. We'll go for shades. No, I did the yellow shade last time. I can't do that. I've worked my way through painting too much. What is the name of the painting effect in which you would load up a brush and essentially stab the model with it repeatedly, just bam, 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 bang. What is the name of that effect, best as I've described it? Okay, so chat seems to have got the answer. Well done. So yeah, that is, as best as I could describe it, the effect that we call stippling. I first saw it in terms of adding dirt effects to like tank tracks. So that was where I first saw stippling. So that's what I was going for. So well done to chat. Okay. promise we've been talking about that. Okay, so we'll switch this up. Since I'm a lore channel, let's have a lore question. Let's see. If you watch my 40k Stories episodes, you should know this. What craft world is Malgan Ra from? Malgan Ra is the Phoenix Lord of the Dark Reapers. If that reminds you at all. Give you a bit more time because I realised that that was a bit of a swerve from a semi-basic painting technique to something that requires watching my lore videos. I'm going to give chat just 30 more seconds. Okay, so half a point to Duke for the one that got stuck in the Eye of Terror. Half a point. You can have half a point for that. The answer was Craft World Altensar. Craft World Altensar was the craft world of Malgan Ra. And I did talk about it in my video on the Phoenix Lords. But then again, that was several weeks ago, so I suppose minor excuse. That's a trick. That's a trick question. That's an evil trick question. Okay, so we'll do one then a little more recent, shall we? I'm not going to ask for the correct spelling. What was the other name for the Thunder Warriors? So they were a Legiones, or a Legiones if you like the Alcazar's pronunciation. But what was their title? The Legiones what? What was their title for the... I said it about 12 times in the video that came out yesterday. Well, I think the name comes from Valdor, Birth of the Imperium. I think it's when it's first coined. Oh, damn it, that bit should have been gold, not silver. Watched it, can't spell. So they were the Legiones Catagis. C-A-T-A-E-G-I-S. I'll even type it in chat because someone did ask me about this in a comment. So it was the Legiones Catagis. So that's the spelling. I appreciate that it was that was a tricky one just because it's such an awkward word. But yes, the Thunder Warriors were the Legiones Contagious. He didn't. No. It wasn't a ghost kill, it was a cold star. Okay, I'm trying to I don't want to go too obscure. There's going to be relatively known things. I'm going to do lore questions. Okay, here's one that you may know. This is one for the more heresy-minded players. What was the nickname of the Space Wolves before they found Leman Russ? So they were the 6th Legion, but what was their sort of unofficial name / title? Okay, yeah, we've got a couple of correct answers there. They were the Rout. They were the Rout, were the 6th Legion. And for a bonus point, what was the name of the Word Bearers? What were the Word Bearers called before they found Lorgar? Their lore video has got 99 point something thousand views. It's like the next video to 100k, and it's just like, come on, tick over. Because the Space Wolves and the flipping Space Wolves have got 100k, but not the blooming Thousand Suns. Boo. But yes, the Word Bearers. Yes, they were the Imperial Heralds, so named because one of their number would go up pretty much to the enemy armies and demand their surrender / integration, and if they refused, then down came the wrath of the Imperial Heralds and the Imperium at large, I believe, if I remember the tale correctly. Granted, I told that story nearly 4 years ago, so I may have got it slightly wrong in my head. Iconoclast is certainly a term around religious zealotry, but because they weren't religious zealots at the time. Okay, let's have a Tau question then, since I know my Tau. What is the classification, so the sort of the series of letters and numbers that goes before the storm surge? So it's the something, 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 storm surge. What is that code? I spent an entire video where I never referred to the battlesuits by anything other than their codes. So, and I described the coding system in full in what is my biggest lore flex to date. That video was me lore flexing all over the place. So, I only have chat 30 more seconds. There's people in my ear losing their minds trying to answer this question, so you know it's a good one. The storm surge is the KV128. Or is it KX128? I'm pretty sure, I'll double check, but I am about 99% it is the KV128. KV128. Yeah, KV128 Storm Surge. Just checked it in the chapter approved. That. All right, let's go back to the Legions, because the Legions seem to be one that, well, A, it's my most famous series, and B, I think people at least stand half a chance. So I'm going to make one slightly easier one, I think. What was the homeworld of the Emperor's children? It was the planet that Fulgrim landed on, and it became the homeworld of the Emperor's children. What was that planet? I forgot why painting metallics was annoying. Because they're just thick, and it makes them hard to paint over large surfaces. So the answer I was looking for was Kamos, because that was the actual planet. I'd have to go and double check that suggestion in chat that they were swapped with Vulcan. I've never heard that before. That's the first I've ever heard of it. But the answer I was looking for was Kamos. Yeah, so the Khan was Chigoris. Thank you, Kaz, for pointing that out for me. Appreciate that. All right. Okay, one from a recent lore video. What was the capital city of Prospero? Answers on a postcard, please. Okay, good. Most people seem to have got that one. Tizca. Yeah, the City of Light. Okay, I made that one a little too easy with Tizca then. Okay. Alright. Ooh. Hmm. I can't even remember that. Okay, let's move across to a little bit of Sigma. I don't know how confident people feel about some Sigma. Let's see. What this is gonna test people, I think. What was the gift of from Malerian to Sigmar that he uses to train the Stormcast Eternals? I appreciate Sigmar's a bit trickier. Yeah, so I actually had this wrong in my head. I had the Sigma Rapulum in my head, but no, it is the Gladiatorum or Gladiatorium. I always forget exactly how it's spelt. And it's essentially a arena in which the Stormcast can fight at full power, and yet they won't die from its effects. It's kind of like a false death. They don't die or get reforged or anything like that as a result of going full out in the Gladiatorum. But it's also used by Malerian as, well, we don't know. Malerian, there is some sort of sneaky intent behind the device on Malerian's end as well. That's way too niche. Okay, we'll stay with the Stormcast and we'll make a slightly easier one. Where are the Stormcast reforged? It is the Anvil of Apotheosis. Yes. The Anvil of Apotheosis. Bonus point. Who manned the Anvil of Apotheosis until recently? Who was in charge of the I'm not looking for a name, I'm looking for a group. Who were in charge of the Anvil of Apotheosis? Who sort of managed it? There's no need to remove the comment, but that's tough. Knock it off. But yes, the Sacrosanct Chamber. Sacrosanct Chamber, the wizards of the Stormcast were given command of the Anvil until Sigmar needed them to go and find a cure to the reforging problem and also go fight all the new magic that was running loose in the Soul Wars. Yeah, so there's a scene in the Soul Wars novel where a Lord Arcanum and basically an entire Sacrosanct Chamber are manning the anvil and having to capture the souls that are returned to them and reforge them as they go. And that leads into the main conflict of the novel, actually. That's where the main conflict comes from, is when the anvil doesn't do its job properly, if you like. Right, I think I've got, it's a bit of a messy base coat, but I've got a... Yeah, if you want to ask questions, you can always ask questions. I've thrown the questions out just to try and keep chat ticking over, because I appreciate that sometimes if I just sit here painting for 10 minutes and do it in absolute silence, chat gets bored and everyone leaves. So I was mainly doing it for chat's interest. Did they ever mention what happened with the Stormcast Bone Reaper? I'm not sure who that was. There was a Stormcast Death Lord created in the Soul Wars novel, but they are dealt with at the novel's close. I'm not sure what the Stormcast Bone Reaper is, and would it stop doing that? The Stormcast that Nagash reforged, yeah, that one in the Soul Wars novel is destroyed at the end of the Soul Wars novel, following the battle between it and the Lord Arcanum, or one of the Lords Arcanum of the Ambles of the Helden Hammer. And they go, and they're there, and they die, dead. Do I have plans to do a lore video on the Lost Primarchs? No, I don't. The Lost Primarchs are essentially just, they were designed as a place for fans to create their own legions and their own Primarchs, and that's what they were designed to do. They were never designed to be fully fleshed out legions with much. And I know that they've talked about the second Primarch and the Lost Primarchs in passing at time to time, but not to the extent where I feel that a lore video would be any use, because there's just not really any information. Like, if there's enough information one day, we get confirmation about who they were, what they were called, and what happened to them, then sure. But I don't think we will ever get that information. I don't think we ever should get that information. So I have no plans to do the Lost Primarchs at any point. What was your opinion on Lady of Sorrows? I've yet to read it. It's on my bookshelf, but I've yet to read Lady of Sorrows. Granted, I have noticed from reading the back cover that the title is a little bit of a misnomer, because whilst it is about fighting Olinda, it does suggest that Olinda's the antagonist, and so probably won't get that much screen time. But then again, in the Gloomspite novel, that again has very little actual screen time. Like, they only appear about halfway through the book. And they're often viewed sort of slightly off screen, and they're not really fully fleshed out in this book, in Gloomspite by Andy Clark, but it's still a fantastic read, even if you might say, oh, wait, the Gloomspite were just the antagonists running riot. You don't really get much insight into them. But I think it works sometimes, and Olinda, again, is a sort of a mysterious figure, and she's a Mortarch. So I can understand not giving her like all the screen time, because she would just completely hog it, and everyone else would seem insignificant compared to this omnipotent, seemingly unkillable monstrous that has haunted this underworld of Shyish for generations. I think that's a better role for her to be cast in, which is what the novel casts her as. But of course, I'd have to read it to decide in full what I think of the novel in general, how well it reads and all that. On the spot, can you name all the founding members of the Grey Knights? No, because we don't know all of them. But I can name several. So there was Severian of the Lunar Wolves. There was Umojan, of the Salamanders. There was a Night Lord called Felzerost. There was an Ultramarine, which I think was Tylos Rubio. Yeah, I think it was Tylos Rubio. We had a Dark Angel, Epimetheus. No one knows who they really were. We have a Raven Guard, and I've forgotten their name. I think it's something like Callimachus. No, that's the book that Ahriman steals. Okay, hang on. Shush. Thinking. We had Janus, who was of course made from a fusion of Magnus the Red and what was that Thousand Sons name? What was his name? Revulavida. There we go, Revulavida. So yeah, Janus, formed from Revulavida, Felzerost, Umogen, Tylos Rubio, Severian, Epimetheus, and a Raven Guard, and some others. Whew. Oh, lots of them are dead. Rubio is dead. Epimetheus is either dead or as wishes he was dead at Abaddon's hand. Abaddon's killed several of the founders of the Grey Knights, I believe. I still remember doing a stream like 3-4 years ago where I had my physics friends on. And I rattled off all 20 Primarchs, like just off the top of my head on stream. I just went Lionel Johnson, Fulgrim, 4 is Perturabo, 5 is Karn, 6 is Russ, 7 is Dawn, 8 is... 8. Who is 8? Oh, who's the 8th? Kurz, Sanguinius, Manus, Blank, Angron, Gilliman, Mortarion, Magnus, Horus, Lorgar, Vulcan, Corax, Alvarius, Omegon. Yeah, I just rattled them off. Well, not quite rattled them off, but I could remember them all off the top of my head. At the time, I thought I was super impressive because I could name all 18 Primarchs at once. But I think that's not as much of an achievement anymore. I don't think Remlays would have forgiven me if I'd have forgotten Conrad Kurz. I said Ferris. I said Manus rather than Ferris for 10. I just gave the surname because I was in a rush. Do you know any good books that has Night Lords iconography? Honestly, if you want Night Lords, then you've got a huge range. So you've got the books by ADB, so the Soul Hunter books. You've got, and yeah, if you're wanting iconography, probably the best place to look is the upcoming Black Book, Book 9, Crusade, or Thramas, whatever it's called. I think the Night Lords are also in Book 2, which is Massacre. Okay, if you want to find out what Lost Promise, will you do a theory video? No, because there is a roughly canonical explanation that it is very strongly believed, by what we can infer, that Russ wiped them out and that they were integrated into the Ultramarines. And we can't prove that, but there's a little bit of circumstantial evidence to suggest it. And so I don't see there's anything I could add to that debate beyond what Remlays and others have said in the past about the Lost Primates. There's nothing for me to say because there's no information there. What we know is circumstantial, and it's all we're going to, or I expect we're going to get. Okay, I think that's all the silver. Yeah. I think there's a conversation going on in my ear about whether some of the Primates were forced to fall one side or the other. And one of the ones that just got mentioned was Fulgrim. And personally, I think Fulgrim's fall was handled very well by setting it up with the layer blade and having these whispers and making him kill Ferrus. Obviously, the Fulgrim novel, it happens, I think it's the 5th Heresy book, so all of that setup happens later, in later books, but the way they've built Fulgrim's turn, I think has been excellent, because they make sure that Fulgrim has a reason to turn. Granted, because of Horus, it's pretty pathetic, and he has a reason to be fully lost when he's forced to kill his best friend. So I think it works. Okay, tinfoil hat theory. Because of how well elves are saying in AOS, do you think we'll get Malerian elves next? I think we'll get Malerian elves before we get Tyrian elves. I do think that, but I don't think they'll be next. Because Behemat, we know, are next. So I think that, obviously we know Behemat are next. After Behemat, I think, just thinking about the factions that we've got recently, we're due probably for another death faction. So I would like to see the Soul Blight, the vampires, because all Vampire Counts players suddenly have something to gravitate to, which is a good thing. You could also possibly give Chaos something interesting, but but obviously with Sons of Behemat existing, they're getting access to Chaos Gargants as well. But you could reintroduce the Chaos Dwarves, for example, and have them return as a faction. So I think there's several things they could do. I don't think we're going to get elves next. However, that's not to say they won't, because remember that in 2018, they released the Daughters and the Idoneth back to back in the run-up to AOS 2. So they have got form for doing it before, but I think especially with 9th edition, it will have gone Lumineth, Behemat, deal with 9th, and then we'll see where we are. I don't think the Shadow Elves are going to be next. I think we'll see something for Death, because Destruction obviously gets Sons of Behemat, and Order got Lumineth. So I think something for Death, possibly Chaos, but I'm not sure entirely. The Iron Jaws models I think are actually really nice. The ones from, obviously there's the Black Orc models that became the Ard Boys. They're the old ones. But the actual new ones, the Brutes, the Gore Grunters, and the Mega Boss, I actually really like those miniatures, and I don't think they actually need an update. Certainly compared to some factions in the game that have got much older miniatures. Looking at you, Flesh Eater Courts, or looking at you, Cities of Sigmar. At least Iron Jaws have got Sigmar era models. There's several factions who don't. But hey, here we are. GW have ripped stuff off Forge World before. They've ripped the Shadow Sword off them, they've ripped the Baneblade off them, they've ripped the Trigon off them, and they've ripped the entire... I think that's the issue for Iron Jaws. Half Humanese look amazing, and the other half looks super dated. Yes, so yeah, I would admittedly, if you're playing an army with Ard Boys, yeah, but I don't think we, especially because Iron Jaws just got redone last year as part of Auric War Clan, I would bet against seeing them anytime soon, though I do appreciate the sentiment. The Savage Orcs are fine. The Savage Orcs are quite new by they're one of the last releases of Fantasy, the Savage Orcs. They don't need it. Gloomspite. How goes the painting? It's going slowly, but we're making some good progress. We've been going for about an hour and a half, including lots of mixing and arguing and a few trivia questions. So I've managed to base coat the stone or the jade marble effect that we're going for. I've base coated the silver of the armor, and I'm going to do the edges in gold. I'm just painting the bloody heart that the avatar carries at the moment in red. And I'm going to do the hair of the avatar in red as well, just to give use it as a spot colour, because I did my other avatar's hair in blue. If I need to change this later, I'll go back and do it white or something, but I don't think I plan to. Final mock of the avatar in Discord chat. Oh, I might have missed that. Oh yeah, I see that. Okay. Yeah, I think it's going to end up being a slightly darker red than that. Or maybe not quite so bright, but yeah, that's sort of what we're going for. I might pop that up on screen later if I remember. But yeah, we're not too bad. Where are we? I can't believe it's been 5 years since nearly 5 years since I painted my last avatar. So it was the first model, I think, aside from my first test witch elf. I think I got the cauldron first. I think the avatar was genuinely the first Age of Sigmar miniature I painted. Well, first miniature I painted for an Age of Sigmar army, because I repainted some crossbowmen or something, but not really. These were the first miniatures I properly bought and painted for AOS. Was an avatar, and that was 5 years ago. So weird to think how fast time has gone, that we're back here again and we're using it for a terrain project of all things. Imagine telling 18-year-old me you're going to be doing terrain projects with your avatars. Ay, ay, ay. I'm not saying that to knock terrain or anything like that, it's just it wasn't my thing back then. I didn't care about terrain particularly. And my appreciation of the wider aspects of the hobby has really developed over the past couple of years, with getting into doing basing and in second year, working on unique paint schemes and texture paints in third year, and doing different colour schemes and proper full conversions. Then coming back, doing an Elfin adventure, starting to get a cohesive theme for an army together. And then this year with this, and then last year trying to just throw bits together when I didn't have work, that led to a mega binge in lockdown. And now I'm making a flipping mini board and terrain project that I'm going to use hopefully for school, that I can take to run a Warhammer club with my own terrain and things like that. It's mad. Yeah, we had a long chat in Discord last night about the schools program that GW runs and how it works. So I've had a bit of experience. So yeah, it's all good. Would you like to see more 40k novels set before the current time period? Yes, I would like to see some Age of Apostasy novels. I'd like to see more about the Plague of Unbelief. I'd love to see more on the Nova Terra Interregnum. And I think that I would like to see a bit on the Scouring as well. But I appreciate, it's the same thing with Xenos lore, that stuff doesn't sell. And it's interesting, people sort of say, oh, Black Library, please write more Xenos stuff. Okay, are you going to buy it? No, we just want more Xenos stuff. Okay, YouTuber, please do videos on Xenos. Okay, my Eldar video got 2,000 views and everything else gets 2-3 times that. I don't care, do Xenos stuff because no one will watch it, but you'll do the time anyway, so we don't have to do the reading. It's like... Genuinely, my video on the Autarchs has got like a third of the views of like everything else. And then my random video on Space Hawks that I made in a day has got nearly 40,000 views. Like, what happened there? What happened? How did that happen? Sorry, I don't mean to come across as like I'm just being bitter, but it's just one of those things. I find it quite funny. But anyway, proud to say over the 2 40k models and the Shadow Sun and the Tau Commander. Then get some more. Proud to say you've only got 2 models. Get some more. Great that they're Tau. That's great. Now go get some more. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to shill for GW here, but it's like, you can't just have a hobby of 2 models. You can't. You can't. Anyone who says they're done after 2 models is lying. They're lying, straight up. Yeah, I'm doing alright, thank you. I'm making good progress with this stream. I've got some good stuff going with the Avatar of Khaine. So I'm enjoying doing this, I really am. And we're going to be doing the Blood for the Blood God pretty soon. But I want to do the gold first. I don't know when our next game's going to be, Ben, but good luck with getting your silver net done. I don't know how much you've got left to do, but that sounds good. So where the bread and butter. Yeah, Silver Death Vet and Farsight to be available. Yeah, Farsight's awesome. I actually have got a spare Farsight that I did because I've been given a upgraded Farsight by PGC Video, who's one of our mods. They sent me their Farsight when they sold their Tau army, so I actually have a Farsight going spare. So maybe at 35k, or maybe just as a random, maybe just once on a stream, I might do a giveaway of some kind. Granted, it would be a very badly painted Farsight from 2016 Tactica Imperialis when they were rubbish, with a head swap because they lost their head to the void. So I don't think it's really worth it, but yeah. What have you even got? All of it's paint. Well, good luck, Ben. Admittedly, you're painting Sylvanet, so you're going to be painting about 95% brown, 4% green, and 1% ethereal blue. So hopefully it'll just be spray brown, edge highlight green, done. I'm snarking a little on Sylvaneth. I know they're harder than that, but in lore, how many demons and demon princes do the 4 major chaos powers have? No goddamn clue. No goddamn clue. The amount of demons is effectively infinite. We don't know the numbers, and we never will. But as for demon princes, it's just how many mortals have they elevated over 15,000 years, or 40,000 years, I should say, because Khorne awakened in the Middle Ages, as did the ancient Nurgle, by the human calendar. So, yeah. Painting Shadow Sun based on the Farsight palette. That's a good idea, to be fair. If you're going to tie the two together, then yeah, absolutely. I did my Shadow Sun in blue to fit with the rest of my army, so the 8 are in red, but the rest of my tower are in blue because they're from Salash Hay. So that's a very fair way of doing things, just to paint it to match one of the things. But yeah, if you're brand new and you're buying an ass load of paints, it's not possibly the best place to start. Just start by painting Commander Shadow Sun, because she's finicky. I've painted her, she's finicky. So if you don't know what you're doing with sub-assemblies and things like that, she could be a right pain. Sorry, I'm going a little bit into focus mode because I've actually got to paint this bit somewhat accurately, so I'm going slightly focus mode. So, chat, please send in a sane and competent manner. Amuse yourselves for 2 minutes while I get this right. Yes, I did know that GW started out writing for Dungeons and Dragons. And I also remember the story that because GW wouldn't give Blizzard like the license to Warhammer, they ended up going off and making Warcraft, I think, or something like that. I think I remember that story correctly. You haven't missed much. The main thing I've been doing is we thrashed out a paint scheme for my avatar of Khaine, and we also we've been painting it ever since. We've also had a lot of trivia questions, including driving some people around the bend trying to remember bits of random trivia that I've accumulated over the past 6 years. But that was quite fun. We might do some more trivia questions later. And at the minute, I'm sort of focusing up a bit and taking questions from chat. So that's sort of where we are. And we're going quite well. Did I see the Exodite trailer? No, it's one of the things I haven't got round to, the Exodite. But I have heard there's Tau in it, so I suspect they'll get the language right. Literally, I ripped the language straight from the codex, so I suspect they'll get it right. I have no doubt they'll get it right. Okay, I'm going to tidy up the silver, but I've got the helm done. On we go. Painting metallics is long and boring and... Ugh. Why did I let you sign me up for painting metallics? It takes ages. I did not suggest doing the avatar. I said it's something we could do, and on the entire chat said, do the avatar, do the avatar. It was always like the do the raw thing from the fourth Shrek film. And then it was like, no, hang on, no, we want to do this really complicated paint scheme involving silvers and technical washes and all that jazz, and it got very complicated very quickly. And granted, I played along with it, but God, I regret that now because it's taking ages. I'm snarky, of course. How in the four flips can you paint without an LED lamp? You mean this one? I have got a lamp on. Granted, I'm not painting under the lamp because to do that I'd have to rejig the whole desk. But I am there is a lamp on, so don't worry. Believe me, my painting style is very unconventional and awful. So don't worry. You do not want to copy my painting style. Oh. Damn it. I'm going to have to go back and tidy that whole section up because I painted the wrong panel. Damn it. I've had enough of IKEA this week. I've built so much IKEA this week. I've had enough of IKEA. You'll have enough of IKEA when they tell you to shove 60 kilograms of sofa up the stairs on your own. Then you'll have had enough of IKEA. I was. Are there any major chaos powers besides the four main ones? Oh, yes. We have got Malice. We have got Gork and Mork. We have the God of the Greater Good. We theoretically have the Emperor. And radical theory I stumbled on during some research for a video. Could you argue that the Hive Mind is a warp entity? I'm not making any reference to Chaos God here. Merely warp entity. Hence why Gork and Mork are there. The god of atheism, Nakoho, I believe is an Age of Sigmar construct, as I recall. I believe Nakoho was a Sigmar construct. The god of atheism. Well, the hive mind powered by Tyranid souls. Well, this is the thing. So let me explain my logic on the hive mind. So the hive mind is essentially the psychic communication or the gestalt consciousness formed from the psychic communication of trillions, quadrillions of Tyranids all at once. Agreed? So if we take that as read, that a psychic communication and the psychic power of an entire species is being used to create this gestalt consciousness, and we exist in a galaxy where the reflections of a few humans contribute to forming a chaos god, or a few Eldar over a couple of generations go on to form a freaking chaos god, it stands to reason that this power, this psychic communication, and the gestalt consciousness it creates would in turn be reflected in the warp, thus meaning the hive mind is a warp entity. Further stretch, the shadow in the warp. The hive mind can clearly influence the warp. The Tyranids draw their power for psychic communication and psychic influence from the warp. However, the warp can also screw with them. See the Cicatrix Maledictum opening at the time of the devastation of Baal, where the hive mind was, as far as we understand, cut off from the Leviathan by the warp. So it was just a little hypothesis I started to craft while I was doing some research. We are not sure how the shadow in the warp works. We have a theory. It is a disturbance in the warp, yes, but what we don't know is quite how sentient the creation of the shadow in the warp was. Is it done consciously, or is it just a byproduct of the Tyranids communicating? We don't know. So there's a lot there that we don't know. It was just a theory I cooked up while I was doing some research, and I just wrote it down because I was interested, so I wrote it down. Which one? Again, theory, not confirmed fact. Yes, it uses the warp and can be affected by the warp. It's clearly a major warp entity. It's safe to assume that it is a warp entity. Yeah, so I ran with this theory while I was thinking about it because, my brain just went at 100 miles an hour at that point. So my thought process is, so why does the hive mind behave so differently to, for example, the Chaos Gods or Gork and Mork? Well, what if in Andromeda, say, the next galaxy over, there was no warp? Or maybe there was very limited psychic ability, and so the warp was very much becalmed. And so an entity like the hive mind would be able to develop in a very different way to the gods we see today. But that assumes, therefore, that the warp is contained to one galaxy. Give them a year, let me finish. So, therefore, okay, let's assume that the warp, therefore, stretches across all of the galaxy. But what if it plays by different rules depending on where you are? The warp plays by no rules anyway. So, well, rule one of the warp is there are no rules. So why wouldn't a truly hive mind race, compared to, say, the orcs, who have a gestalt consciousness of their own in the power of the War, would that not evolve slightly differently and reflect in the warp in a different way, thus creating the shadow? And I just ran with this idea, and I have in no way any proof that the hive mind is an entity like the Chaos Gods or Gork and Mork. It was just an interesting concept that I ran with, and it led me down a bit of a rabbit hole. So I just wanted to share it. Okay, so here's where we are. I've not finished the gold yet. Lamp, get out of the way because you're making the lighting go weird. So that's where we are. We've got the green and then the silver with the gold trim. I'll show you the back as well so you can get an idea of where we are. That's what we're at. I'm just finishing off the gold at the moment. So yeah, that's where we are. That's where we're at. And would this please turn? Lamp. Thank you. I'm going to bring it up to Remley's on Podcasters this week and see what he thinks. Just because, well, I think it's less because of what he does. It's just that he knows the law very well. He might know more information that I can't find, or it's just nice to get an alternate opinion, and I trust Remley's opinion implicitly. So he's the first person I would go to something like this, and I've just kept it up to myself because I was doing some research anyway and I wanted to save it for the podcast, but I'm saying it here because someone asked. Oh god, this is going to need so much tidying up. I hate painting gold. It leaves such a mess. Oh god, that's such a mess. Right, other arm. The war, based on what you know, is parallel. It's not a parallel universe, it's a parallel dimension. There is a slight difference. It's not even a parallel dimension. It is just another dimension that is intrinsically tied to our dimension, known as reality. Talk about all these dimensions. I feel like I'm back watching Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc V. A parallel would go perpendicular. No, you're fine. No need to apologise. It's just this stuff can get quite tricky. So this stuff is awkward. So if the warp is bound to reality, would it be possible, or if it's separate? So separating the warp from reality is essentially what the Necrons are trying to do. The idea of sealing off the warp from reality is something that the Emperor wanted to do as well. Was cut off the Chaos Gods from the Materium, and people in my ear, please let me finish. The working theory of, is it possible? I think yes, you could cut the warp and reality off, but the follow-up argument that sort of this therefore that for many people is doing so kills the Chaos Gods, and that is something I disagree with fundamentally. I don't think the Chaos Gods can die. Right, so have I got all the gold up there done? Oh god, we've gone for 2 hours already. Blimey. Right, I'm not going to get this avatar anywhere close to done tonight. So I'm going to finish off the gold. And I think I'm going to have a go at the Blood for the Blood God wash. And then we'll probably end up calling it there. That's sort of my... That's my... Oh god, I nearly knocked Retributor off my desk. Okay, minor panic. Nearly knocked it off. But so that's where we're going to get to, is I'm going to try and finish this gold, and then we're going to have a go at doing this Blood for the Blood God wash, and maybe if we're doing well and we're under 3 hours, we'll go for the Druki Violet wash as well. I don't mind going late, but I appreciate that Brits particularly, it's going to be Monday tomorrow, so you might want to go to bed. To be honest, I need to be up quite early in the morning anyway, because I'm going to be starting a new routine, so I'm not going to go super late, but... I appreciate that it's getting a little bit later now in the day. Okay, we're getting there now. Problem is, I've got to do all the blooming armour trim on the legs. I'm going to be here for another hour just doing this bloody armour trim, I know me. The thing is, if I call the stream now, the way I do things, the way I want this project to be purely a stream project. So I don't just want to, oh, I'm going to stop the stream and then I'm going to work for 2 more hours in the Discord. And then we'll come back to the stream and say, oh, by the way, here's where we were last time. And here's where we actually are. Because I did a bunch of stuff off screen. Like I built the avatar off screen. I think I'm fine to build the avatar off screen because it's boring. It's 6 pieces. No one cares. But people might just want to see the results of this. So that's why I want to get to a sort of natural stopping point, which probably is going to end up being about 10 o'clock. Yeah, I just want to get this gold done. Just want to get this gold done, if nothing else. I don't want to leave it halfway through a step. God. Okay, I'm just going to shake that up a little bit. Yeah, painting. I mean, I admit that my painting speed compared to others, I do paint quickly. I can knock out. There was a time when I was doing my Stormcast. I was doing a Stormcast in a stream of about 2 hours, including taking a break and things like that. I was knocking them out in a stream of about 2 hours, and that was me at my best for speed painting. Nowadays, I do take a lot longer because I pay more attention to detail with my elves because they're more finicky. A, they're more finicky, and B, I care. My Stormcast, I think, were my tide over project, and I really enjoyed doing my Stormcast. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed a town called Malice, if only for the sick pun. But that project, as soon as the Daughters of Khaine were revealed, as soon as the Eineth were revealed, I knew when I got home from France, I was doing elves again. I knew I was going back to elves as soon as I saw the Daughters and the Deepkin. So the Stormcasts were always sort of a tide over project. They were never my passion project. And so I did rush them a little bit more. Not to say we didn't have fun doing them. And my Lord Aquilor conversion with a lance and all that stuff was a very fun project. I loved that project. We did that over 2 streams. I think we did the conversion on 1 stream and the painting on another, and I loved that stream. But it was never the same labour of love as a project to do a town called Malice as an Elfin Adventure has been. And like, I could easily see myself going back for an Elfin Adventure Season 3 if I wanted to and I had the time, because Malumineth is one. I've got Malerian's elves to come. I've got Tyrion's elves. I stand by the belief we're getting Tyrion's elves. So Elfin Adventure is a project I could go back to over and over. I'll never go back and do a town called Malice Season 2. And to be fair, a part of a town called Malice was improving my language skills. Like, I loved that project because I got to do the videos twice in 2 different languages. And so it was a real test of me linguistically to practice my French and my English. Or sorry, practice my French because I'd already done it in English. So I'd record the episode in English or record a clip and then record it again in French. So I already had the practice of the phrases I wanted to use in English. And then I just had to translate them over as best I could. So that, again, it was a great project for me. But again, it was never the labour of love that my elves are. So it's just a weird thing. Sorry, I've been distracted from chat again. Just a hobby stream? Yeah, it's been a hobby stream. I was tempted, depending on how I got on, I was tempted to look at the new releases, but that was again with an eye to this project. I must say, out of all the Warhammer Lord channels I watched first getting into this game, it's my favourite. Oh, that's very kind of you to say. I do try and make my videos comprehensible to all tiers, because obviously you don't want to pitch your lore videos to a point where only those who have read 17 quadrillion books can understand them. But you also want to include the depth that goes beyond just what you can just read in a codex. So it's kind of an interesting balance to strike. So I always say, if you're new to the game, go watch Remlaze's 40k Lore for Newcomers videos. And then come and find me. And then when you've got enough out of me, you've got the details you want, go find Oculus. That's sort of the natural progression. And when you're ready to have a laugh, go find Alpha. Because the main thing I would say is because Alpha's jokes are hilarious no matter how immersed you are in the hobby. But if you get all the inside jokes and inside references, then by God, TTS becomes 1,700 times funnier. Okay, we're nearly there. One more leg. And it's only 9:45. Can't say I've heard of Oculus. I'm not saying I'm in the camp of don't use TTS to get into the hobby. It's one of those things. TTS is brilliant, and especially recently, they do provide some interesting insight into the lore. But if you want to get a reflection of what the hobby's lore is like, then you don't start with TTS. But you should definitely watch TTS, because once you understand the inside jokes, then it becomes so much better. So, like, watch TTS. Like, so, for example, you want to do the episode 19. One of my favorite episodes of all time is the episode about the warp grumblings, and in that episode, Magnus the Emperor and Kitten have a fantastic discussion, and it is pretty much canon compliant. But if you understand basically what the warp is and what the Chaos Gods are first, then you won't be having to pause it to understand it. It will just flow better. So it makes TTS better to know the lore first. It's not that you can't watch TTS to learn lore. It's that if you learn lore first, TTS is much better as a result, I think is how I would explain it. TTS, sorry, I should explain what TTS is because I'm speaking in acronyms. I'm going full teacher mode. TTS is if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device, or if you like, ETEHATTSD, if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device, often shortened to TTS or text-to-speech, where essentially exactly that, a text-to-speech device is put into the Golden Throne so the Emperor can speak, and shenanigans ensue, shall we say. I have not been in TTS as of yet. It's one of those things, like, I understand, I would love to be part of the TTS group, and I know the TTS community very well because I worked with Alpha, Ramlays, Oculus, Sniping Wib, Fresh, Carl, Anchors, Zoran, Thunder, White, Zegram. I've worked with almost all of them thanks to working with Ramlays. But I've not been in TTS, no. Oh, Oculus is Oculus Imperia. They are a Canadian YouTuber, and they are absolutely Irish. I think they're in Canada, but they are Irish descent. Yes, that's right. Sorry. Yes, Canadian inhabiting Irish blood, and they are one of my best friends in the community. They've been on Adepts Podcasters several times. They are exceptionally knowledgeable, particularly about the Horus Heresy. Their Legion's lore videos are vastly better than mine. And genuinely, like, I remember scouting Oculus when I was doing Legions because they did a lore video on the Salamanders. And I would just, oh my goodness, this is actually a very good 30k lore tuber. Remlays, write this name down, we're going to get them later. And then they got a bit bigger and we brought them on the podcast and it was one of the best decisions we ever made. And now they're in TTS. They are the chronicler who turns up and talks about chicken. And yeah, he sort of plays himself, or he plays his character in TTS. Oculus has been on, I think, 2 or 3 episodes of the podcast. I think they were on around episode 60, and then they've been on again, and they were also on episode 100. So they've been on. Oh, I've been at it. I has been at it. Why have I been at it? Ah, Ben has started painting his Sylvanet. Excellent. I look forward to seeing those develop as time goes on. Right, have I got all the gold done on the avatar? Yes, I think I've got all the gold done. Yep, all the gold is done. Gold is done. However, I've made a massive mess of the silver and the green, so I need to tidy both of them up. And I'm not doing that on stream. I will tidy that up off camera. No one cares. So, we are going to roughly call the stream there. Lamp, off you go. You're just wasting electricity now. Off. And I turn that off. So, the stream is going to end in about 5 to 7 minutes. So if you've got any last questions or things you want to discuss, things you want to ask, then absolutely this is your time in chat to fire away. If you have any questions, requests, or things to do with this conversion project, and once I've tidied this up, I'm going to, I don't know, I'm tempted to do the washes and things off screen and just we'll come back to this, but I don't know when I'm going to stream next because it's Podcastus on Friday. I've got a family event. We usually do a family quiz on Wednesdays. We just moved it this week, so I got a Wednesday stream in. So I'm not sure when I'm going to stream next, whether it might be Tuesday or Thursday, but I can't leave this for 4 days. So I might do the washes for the avatar off screen, just because I'm going to be tinkering with them like 4 or 5 times. I'm probably going to be tinkering with Blood to the Blood God, Druchii Violet, and getting the exact tone I want right. So I'm probably going to do that off screen. I need a drink, hang on, excuse me. Just while I go on mute. Right. If you turn on notifications, I think that tells you when I'm streaming. I usually put out a notification on my Twitter, so link in the description. Or if you join the Discord, I always put an announcement out a few hours in advance that I'm going to stream. Though I don't always often announce the day that I'm going to stream until the day itself. So I usually put a notification out on Twitter, on my Discord, and I'm going to try and remember to use the community tab. So if I use the community tab, then I can also notify that way. Also, if I schedule the stream and sort of set the stream up an hour or so in advance, which is what I've been doing for the last couple of streams, there'll be a waiting page. But I think if you turn notifications on, you will be notified of when I go live. I think that's true. So if you want to turn on notifications, you can do that. Right, so that's done. I'm really looking forward to this avatar. Honestly, I've really enjoyed working on this. I've never been a terrain person, but I've really enjoyed working on this project. So yes, last 5 minutes, last requests, last questions, last things to discuss very quickly. Okay, yeah, we'll do one last trivia question then. But I'm gonna, I promise you, I'm gonna make this one quite tricky. How many sub-realms or islands does Hish have? It is known as the X Paradises. What is X? Hish is the realm of light. Do you think we'll see solar sails in our generation since we can reach a quarter of light speed with them? I have no idea. I'm not an astro engineer or an aerospace engineer. Would it be cool? Yes. Do I have any idea how they work? No. Do I want to learn how they work? At some point, but not today. So I can't really say. Give chat a few more seconds. So the answer is 10. Hish is the 10 paradises. 4 for Teclis, 4 for Tyrion, the centre of the realm, and Haikja, the realm's edge, which is just death. So there's 4 each in each hemisphere, plus Zintil, the centre, and Haizya, the realm's edge. Bonus question, how many is Ulgu? The realm of shadow. But it does have a name of that. It has a name, the Y or the Y kingdoms. It does have a number. There is a number for Ulgu. What's Ulgu's number? And I'm going to go double check in the rulebook to make sure I get it right. Heavens, beasts, Hish, Ulgu. Give it 30 more seconds. So, Ulgu is known as the 13 Dominions. So it is 13 for the Realm of Shadow. And on that bombshell of quizzing and all of that, I quite enjoyed doing this quizzing. So that is going to be all for the stream for tonight. And I'm going to mute everyone in my ear because I need to do this outro properly. So that is going to be all for tonight's stream. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I know it's been a bit up and down with bits where we've been very busy. There's been a lot of chat interaction. We've had the quizzes and trivia questions and voting on the scheme of the avatar. I will keep working on the avatar off screen. I'm going to sort out the washes, so Blood for the Blood God and Druki Violet, and I'm going to do that off screen because if I don't do it off screen, it's going to take me about an hour of tinkering with wash thicknesses and details and repaints and bits and bobs and doo-wops and hooligans. I'll be there all night. So I'm going to do the washes for the avatar off screen. And in our next stream, which I think will probably be on Thursday, though it may be on Tuesday, watch this space, we will continue, we will finish off the avatar, because it will be pretty much done. and then we will start, I think, looking at some of the detailing, or maybe if we're quick and we're a bit low on time, we might have a look at the fire effects or some of the metallics on the altar of Khaine that we've been working on. So just a reminder, here's what we're working towards. So this is where we were at the start of the stream. The avatar now has been swapped out for a basic one, and we've started painting that. So the way it looks is now like this. So it's got a green, and it's going to be a jade marble-like effect, and we're going to use Blood for the Blood God washed silver with gold trim for its armor. It kind of feels like I'm painting the Green Goblin, but hey, here we are. So that's going to be all for tonight. I really hope you've enjoyed the stream. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming and watching. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you all, and I will see you very, very soon on our next live stream. Coming out tomorrow is a stream highlight. We did a My Thoughts on live recording for the Warhammer supply drops. So if you'd like to watch that video, that's coming out on the channel tomorrow. And we've got Adeptus Podcastis coming out in a little over a week's time. We're recording that on Friday. And I've got a very lovely 40k stories, couple episodes coming up, a very long one, a slightly shorter one, and we're setting up to set the run in towards 35,000 subscribers, because I plan to redo a very classic series. No, it's not Legions. But thank you very much, everyone. This has been Tactica Imperialis, and I will see you all very, very soon. Good night.